Welcome to Mystery Mondays on Wednesday. Sorry about that, y'all. You know how you get distracted with life sometimes. Luckily, fortunately, nothing bad happened in my life, just good stuff. I just got rather relatively busy. And so have not had the chance, like, didn't have the chance to make two videos Monday as I had planned to do. And hopefully, tomorrow I'll be making my next video about the Masked Singer season 6, and we'll probably mention some about Alter Ego on that as well, seeing as I will most likely watch both of them before I make that video. I may not make the video until Friday though, so don't hold me to making that tomorrow. And so what I wanted to talk about on this Mystery Mondays video is the Gabby Petito. I have been told that it's not pronounced Petito, it's pronounced Pedito. Anyway, case, and of course her former fiance. I'm no longer calling him her fiance, because anyone who would leave a body, even if he wasn't the one who killed her, he obviously left her there, and odds are he did kill her, but that remains to be seen, you know. But so that's the main thing I want to talk about today. But I do not want in that mix to be forgotten that there was a murder near Moab, Utah. I keep trying to say Arizona, but near Moab, Utah, where the altercation between Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie occurred. So I am also going to be talking about that murder, which was the murder of Kylen Schulte. Sorry if I pronounced the last name wrong. It could just be Schulte, but I'm pretty sure it's Schulte. And Crystal Turner. And I will be speaking about their case first because it actually occurred first. So that's what I'm going to talk about first. And feel free to subscribe to my channel, like the video, comment, let me know what your thoughts are on both of these cases. And if you've even heard anything about the Kylen Schulte and Crystal Turner case, because it's kind of been pushed to the back because of the Gabby Petito case. Of course, they actually occurred, the murders occurred in different locations. And so I'm not going to diss the Moab, Utah, I'm still trying to say Arizona area, because in my reading about these two cases, I discovered that where the bodies of Kylen Schulte and Crystal Turner were found is outside of the Arches National Park. And my younger sister actually went there, I want to say the year before last, with her, at least one of her daughters, possibly both of them, and her now ex-husband. And it's a beautiful place. I've seen pictures of it. So, you know, murders can happen anywhere. My dad used to always tell me when I was living in a town, like, I come from a small town, which I've said, I think at least once before, I come from a small town that now the population of is probably approximately 5,000. When I was growing up there, it was about 2,800, I believe. And so like this big town that I moved to, the population at the time was about 50,000, possibly even slightly lower than 50,000, maybe 47, 46,000, something like that. And my dad was always like, there's so much that could happen over there. And like every time that there was a murder or somebody was almost killed, he would, be calling me and be like, I heard that happened. You need to move back home. You need to move to where it's safer. Well, there was one year that in the town where he lived, there were 3, I believe, murders that occurred. And in the bigger town where I lived that year, there was only 1 murder. So, or one that was known about, I should say. But I'm getting off topic. I don't want to do that. So my focus is these 2 cases. This is the first one I've actually done that's about a mystery itself, rather than it just being like, you don't know what's going to happen. I was going to make this video earlier so that maybe more people would be logging on to YouTube to look for stuff to watch, because my instinct is maybe people would be looking for stuff to watch as they're getting ready for work or school or something. But my grandson is here and he needed to eat, so couldn't put off his eating, But so I want to speak first about the Kylen Schulte and Crystal Turner case. For those of you who don't know, they were camping near Moab, Utah, and they were in the Sal Mountains, which is just outside the Arches National Park. Their bodies were found on August the 18th. They were last seen on August 13th, which I believe was at the place where Kylen Schulte worked, which was the Moonflower Co-op, which I will talk more about that here in a minute. And they had recently been married. They were both shot. I believe they were shot multiple times, I believe, from the stories that I have seen. And their bodies were found by Cindy Sue Hunter, who was a friend of Kylen Schulte's. Now, Hunter went to look for the women because the father of Schulte had contacted her to let her know that he hadn't heard from Kylen in 3 days, and he was becoming concerned about her. I don't know if at this time he had the knowledge of this or not, but she had texted one of her friends about a creeper dude, was what she called him. So creeper dude, in quotations. I'm not saying that he was not a creeper dude. I'm sure that he was. So yeah, she texted and said something about a creeper dude who's roaming around our campsite. We may have to move our location because of him, for that reason. And whether or not they did move their campsite because of him, I am unsure. The story I was reading this morning said that they did, but I don't know for sure that they did. But so Hunter went to the area where she knew that they had been camping, because they had been camping there for a while. I want to say about 3 weeks. It might have even been longer than that. And she was driving around areas, where she thought that they might have been, that she knew that they sometimes camped in, looking for their vehicle and wasn't finding them or any sign of the vehicle. And then I believe Schulte's father, she was on the phone with her father while she was looking. And I believe that he mentioned to her the text and that they might have moved their camp. So she went down another road that wasn't an area where she thought they would have normally been. And she saw their vehicle and saw the rabbit. They often took a rabbit camping with them that they kept in a cage. And she saw the rabbit and that it was in its cage. And then she was like, something must be wrong. And she went ahead and called, I believe she went ahead and called the sheriff's office. No, actually she didn't. She went down toward the creek and saw the two women's bodies. And then she drove back out and called the sheriff's office and waited for them to get there, because you don't know, the person who killed them might still be in that area. So you want to be safe in that instance, right? And when she found them, it was reported they were partially nude. Now, it's not known whether or not they were assaulted in any way along that line. My thoughts are they were camping. They were found in or near a creek. All of the things I read actually said they were found in a creek. So they were found in a creek. So it's possible that they were fixing to bathe, or that they had bathed and were getting dressed again. That's my thought on that. Let me see. I made some notes. I think I'm keeping along with them fairly well. But yes, so what I wanted to mention again about the Moonflower Co-op, which is where Kylen Schulte worked. I don't have a lot of information on her wife. I keep trying to call her Catherine, but Crystal. Yeah, Crystal Turner. I don't have a whole lot of information on her, but Kylen Schulte worked at the Moonflower Co-op, which is the store that the argument and physical altercation between Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie occurred. It occurred outside that store. As far as I know, Schulte didn't have anything to do with that getting called in, the 911 call that I'm sure have all listened to by now. is a man calling and saying that he saw the man hitting the woman, slapping her. So there's no reason to believe that Kylen was had made any call concerning what happened, or that she had knowledge of it, because she would have been in the store working if she was even working on that day. So the Grand County Sheriff's Department don't think that the two cases are connected. But my thought on it is, if Brian Laundrie, that is, did know that these women were camping out there and knew the general area where they had been camping on the 12th, he was to stay by himself away from Petito. Now, my daughter told me that she saw a video about Gabby showing up at the hotel the morning of the 13th to pick him up, that they had surveillance footage that she had gone there and done that. And so these women were last seen on the 13th, I believe, at the Moonflower Co-op. Might have actually been at a restaurant. I should have looked into that closer before I started making my video. But they were last seen on the 13th, and then were not seen again. And I know from stuff that I've read online that Brian and Gabby stayed in the Moab, Utah area for a while after the incident that happened with the Moab police, or that caused them to be called. But I don't know what area they were staying in. But in my opinion, if he knew that they were camping out there and he thought that possibly she had been responsible for the police getting called on him, and then of course in turn Gabby being blamed for being called the aggressor, which when I watched the video I was like, she's scared. Like, dude, like, no, she obviously is scared, and she was trying to get him to pull over or something because he was going so fast and she was scared, is why he weaved, But anyway, if he did have knowledge or did think that she was connected to that, I think that it's possible that he is the one who killed them. Of course, I don't know if he had a gun at all. And it's also possible, very, very, very possible, that the cases are not connected in any way whatsoever, and that this was some totally, completely different person. But I'm like, odds are, I started looking to see exactly what it was that I said there. What I said was in my notes, if Brian knew they were camping there in the Sal Mountain area outside Arches National Park near Moab, Utah, he may have thought that Kylen Schulte reported the incident between him and Gabby, and he could be guilty of that crime as well. Could not, but he could. And I also said, odds are that he killed someone he claimed to be in love with, Gabby. So why would he not kill other people? If you can kill someone that you claim that you love, even if it's in a heated argument, you are certainly capable of killing someone else. Just my personal opinion. And then I made the note again about that they were found with some of their clothing believed to have been removed, but they, in my opinion, could have removed those clothing themselves because they were found in a creek, and they might have been bathing or about ready to bathe. Well, they wouldn't have been bathing with some of their clothes on, but they might have been about ready to bathe or finishing up bathing whenever the person encountered them. So now I'm going to move on to the actual Gabby Petito case, and of course Brian Laundrie. I contemplated doing these two separately, but I have opted to do them together because the cases, I can't think of how I want to word this, but the fact that the relationship between Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito was volatile in any way came to the forefront in Moab, Utah, at the Moonflower Co-op, where ironically Kylen Schulte which was one of the ladies that was found murdered in the Sal Mountains on August 18th. And that was where she worked. So I decided, whether or not the cases are connected via the killer, they're still connected in my opinion. So I decided to do the video about them together. My throat's getting dry, so sorry. But so now I'm going to move on to my thoughts and opinions on the Gabby Petito case. Of course, she did not return to Florida with Brian. Whenever he returned to Florida, they were in the Teton National Park in Wyoming. I was going to look up the dates for when it was that he was picked up hitchhiking. There were 2 separate days he was picked up, or no, 2 separate days. There were 2 separate instances, 2 separate people or groups of people that picked him up when he was hitchhiking near the Jackson Dam. And the Jackson Dam, I think, goes over the Snake River. And so I was going to look up the date that was. I believe that was August 29th or August 30th. And Gabby was last seen or heard from, believed to have been seen or heard from on the 27th. But I think the 27th was when the text was sent from her phone to her family about Stan, referencing her grandpa, who she never called Stan. She always called him Grandpa. So her family, and I agree, do not think that she sent that text, but think that possibly it was sent by Brian or someone else. I thought he would have had access to her phone. A lot of couples know each other's access stuff for phones and computers and such as that. So I feel like most likely it would have been him who had sent that text. But so my thoughts on the whole him being found hitchhiking thing. And for those of you who are following the story, he was found hitchhiking, and his story was, me and my fiance are here doing a vlog. She's back at our van working on our vlog, and I've been hiking for 2 or 3 days along the Snake River. I think that part of that is true, at least part of that. Of course, we don't know. It is, I suppose, possible that she did stay back at the van to work on the vlog. He went off to do this hike and someone else came along and killed her. That is possible, especially if they were in the air. Since they were in the Moab, Arizona area, and if it was someone else that killed Schulte and Turner, it's possible that this person thought that they might have seen something and may have followed them to the Teton National Park. Just saying, that is a possibility. I honestly feel like Brian did something to her. It's possible that he did not, though. We all know that. You're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. So my opinion of it is that it's possible that she was working on the vlog and he's like, well, I'm going to go for a hike. And he intended to take a short hike and ended up walking for 2 or 3 days because he was walking along the river, and that's how long it took for him to come out to a road, maybe. I've taken hikes like that a time or two, not for days, mind you, but for hours. But it's also possible, I think, and I feel like this is the one that's more likely to have happened, that something happened. They got into an argument. He ended up killing her. Or perhaps he plotted to kill her if the debit card that he used was in fact hers. And he was like, she's not sharing her money with me or something. He appears to me to have been a spoiled brat who comes from a wealthy family, but I don't know that that's true. That's just my opinion of how he acts, right? And so I think that it's possible that something did happen between them and he did end up killing her. And then he was like, oh my God, what did I just do? So he took off walking. Do you see where that makes sense? He's like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? What happened? So he takes off walking and he walks for 2 or 3 days. And then he comes out over by the dam. And the first people that picked him up was a couple. He was hitchhiking, from what I understand. And that was a man and a woman picked him up. And their story is that apparently he gave them like $200 for gas. I don't know how far they are from Jackson, Wyoming. To me, that seems like it would be a whole lot of money for someone giving you a ride. But he had told them that she was at their van working on their blog, and he had been hiking for 2 or 3 days along the Snake River. He was wanting to go to Jackson, Wyoming, and I'm guessing maybe his deal was, I've been walking for all this time and I want to get some supplies because, I'm tired, and maybe he wanted to go there and take a shower, maybe was his story or something. I don't know. But he found out that they were going to Jackson Hole, Wyoming instead of Jackson, Wyoming. And he was like, no, stop the vehicle, I need to get out. But Jackson Hole is closer to the Grand Teton National Park than Jackson is, from what I understand. But also, from what I understand, there was an altercation at a restaurant in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, between Brian Laundrie, between Brian Laundrie and I want to say waitress, but I don't know that it was a waitress, their server at a restaurant, concerning the cost of their food, the price that everything came up to. And then so he also got into, like, he was into it with the server, and then the hostess got brought into it, and the manager of the restaurant, and like, he was not happy with what they were charging them for the food. And it's reported, Gabby was trying to calm him down and apologizing for him getting so upset about that. And I believe that was on August 25th, I want to say, possibly 24th. But in my opinion, that may be why he didn't want to go back to Jackson Hole, because he's like, oh gosh, like, they may have called the cops on me there about me being a dick at this restaurant, and pardon my language, and I don't want something else to go awry there. There was something else I was thinking along the lines of the whole hitchhiking thing. So these people did stop and let him out of the car, when he's like, no. Stop the car. I need to get out. And I don't know that he actually gave them the $200. I believe the lady said he offered them $200. But so then he was picked up by a lady who is a seasonal resident, from what I understood, in the Jackson Hole area. And she picked him up and gave him a ride back to his campsite. And he told her, the same story. My fiancé and I are working on a blog, a traveling blog. She's back at our van working on our blog. I was hiking for 2 to 3 days along the Snake River, and she went to drop him off, and it was fixing to get dark, and there was like a gate at the top of the area where he told her that they had been camping, and she offered to drive him further down the road since it was fixing to get dark. And he was like, no, it's fine. Let me out here, which I have driven people places, and it's like the majority of the time they're like, I don't want to inconvenience you any more than I've already inconvenienced you. I don't want you to go way down this way, further out of your way than you would be going. So it could have just been that, but very possibly, he didn't want her to go down there and be like, well, where's your fiance? You said she was in your van working on your blog, but she's not here. So he could have been very well aware that she was not there. I just remembered what my other deal was. Okay, so Wyoming is very close to the Canadian border. So that's the thing that gets me. He was hitchhiking, trying to go to Jackson, Wyoming, which I did not look at on a map to see exactly where that's located. But like, I have been since shortly after this happened. Like, he, especially when I found out that he got around $1,000 using someone's debit card without permission and their PIN. And I'm like, he's in Mexico or Canada by now. Okay, if he was going to go to Canada, wouldn't he just go from Wyoming to Canada? You know what I'm saying? And that's part of why I feel like his parents are in the loop, that they at least have some knowledge of what exactly happened between him and Gabby and of where he's at. They may not know exactly where he's at. I mean, realistically, if they dropped him off at the park where they had gone camping together on like September 8th or so they got there on the 6th and the parents stayed camping and he just went ahead and took off right then like they don't have an idea as to where he is now, but they knew at one point exactly where he was. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they're totally, completely being uncooperative with the police. Now, my thought on that is, and I thought about this quite a bit the other day, and I was talking to my youngest son about it. If one of my kids came to me and told me I had a heated argument with my significant other and ended up killing them, I don't know how I would react. Would I just automatically be like, you should turn yourself in, you have to do the right thing and let the other person's family get justice for what you've done? Or would I be like, I love you and I don't want you to go into prison for the rest of your life or being executed because you got into a big bad argument with your significant other and ended up killing them? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how I would react. So I'm not blaming his parents for anything that they may have done in relation to what's going on. I don't think his sister has any knowledge as to what's going on at all, because I feel like her and Gabby were good friends. But also at the same time, his parents, like, they needed to be thinking, like, now odds are they're going to be charged with stuff in relation to what happened, because the FBI and local police know that he was at their house. They know that they went camping September 1st through 3rd, I believe it is, at the Fort DeSoto Park, which is approximately 75 miles north of Northport, Florida, which is the town they live in. There was a camping space that was reserved in the mother's name, and they reportedly, this is via Dog the Bounty Hunter, they reportedly were on camera going into the park on September 1st and then leaving on the 3rd. And then they made a second trip on this, which the spot at the park, once again, reserved in the mother's name. So I'm like, she's implicating herself in something, very possibly. I mean, like, he would have at least been talking to them about why Gabby didn't come back with him, right? During that time, like, they're going to be like, where the hell's Gabby? And he might have been just like, oh, well, we broke up or something, you know, that's possible. But he had to have told them something during that time. And would you just be willing to accept, oh, you guys broke up and you came back in her van? It's not their van. It is her van. She bought, like, from what I understand, shortly before she quit her job, and like she made the plan to do this travel blog with him. So it's like, he shows up in her van. You need some explanation as to why she's not there. He had to have told them something. Just my opinion. But so some of the things that I have seen have said, like, they did show up on September the 6th at the Fort DeSoto Park for the reservation that was in the mother's name again. A lot of the stuff that I saw said that they were only there until the 7th, even though the spot was reserved the 6th through the 8th, which made me wonder, maybe that's when things came to light, you know, and is it possible maybe they didn't know anything up to that point and then went on the second camping trip, and on the 7th he was like, listen guys, I got to tell you, this is what happened. This is why Gabby really didn't come back with me. And then his parents were like, oh my gosh, what the heck did you do? And they jumped in the vehicle and left him there, possibly. But I feel like what did he get the $1,000 for? You know, like, if he's in some national park or someplace where he's doing survival type stuff, like, did you take supplies with you on these 2 trips? Like a whole lot of camping supplies, like lanterns, little cook stove type thing, fire starter, sleeping bags, jackets, like massive amounts of food and clothes or something, and you know of a cave in this area or something where you stashed this stuff? Or what did you do with the $1,000? Did you rent a boat? Did you, like, what did you do with it? Like, maybe he bought the parents the camper shell that they used. I don't know for sure. The neighbors that saw them packing up the camper shell did say that it was a new camper shell that they had just got. So possibly it was used for that. Possibly he used it to buy a phone that was not in the number that anyone knew of for him. So he would have a way to contact his family from time to time and be like, hey, I'm alive and I'm okay. or something. I don't know. But it's like, what was he planning to do with the money? You know, he was planning to run when he got the money. He was planning to go somewhere where he could use the money, in my opinion. But I don't know for sure. And from what I have seen on the stories from Dog the Bounty Hunter about Fort DeSoto Park, it's an 1,130 acre park, which is pretty big. And the terrain is much easier terrain than the Mabry Carlton Reserve would be, which is like a swamp, Everglade type area, which would be harder to navigate and harder to survive in because there'd be more alligators and stuff such as that, you know. And there are islands. I was actually going to look this up and see how many islands there are and see the exact location that it is. One of my daughters went to Florida last month, I want to say. No, it was earlier this month, actually. She went down there and they were in the Keys. So I'm like, is this like in the area of the Keys? I did see, my brain is saying it's near Petersburg, Florida. Oh, St. Petersburg, maybe. But I'm trying to remember where that is. I can't remember where St. Petersburg is. Is it on the west side, the east side, the south tip? I don't remember. If anyone knows, comment on that and let me know. And so it has several miles of shoreline, so he could go out and fish potentially if he's there. And there's a lot of tree coverage. And I'm like, well, I mean, there's a lot of tree coverage on a 25,000 acre reserve, which is where the FBI and local authorities had been looking for him because his parents said, I believe at one point their attorney said that they said that he told them that he was driving to the Mabry Carlton Reserve, which I want to say is about 86 miles from where they live, and that he was going there to go hiking. And then later, of course, it was said that a note was found on his vehicle, on his Mustang, which was at the house. But someone had stated at one point that his Mustang had left. Like he told his parents that he was going to the reserve. The Mustang had left, and then it later came back, which made me wonder, did they drive him somewhere that day, which that was September 14th, which was the last day that anyone supposedly saw him. And I am of the opinion that his parents were like, well, let's give him a head start. And perhaps he did take off on the 7th when they were at the Fort DeSoto Park, and they waited until the 14th to tell authorities that he was not at their home. Now, his sister said she hadn't seen him since he got back on the 1st. So I also speculate, you know, perhaps when they went to the park on the 1st through the 3rd, that's when he had to sit down and was like, this is what happened. And then he took off to go wherever it was that he was going, and the parents left. And then, like, they had already made a reservation for the 6th through the 8th, perhaps, whenever they made the other reservation. So they went ahead and went down there. Or perhaps they went down there so they could look around some and see whether or not he was still in the area. And I also, I wonder if it was the exact same campsite, because, I mean, it's an 1,130 acre park, right? So one of the campsites might have been way on this side. The other one might have been way on the other side. And maybe they're checking to see if, you know, where exactly he's located. I don't know about that for sure. But I am of the opinion, just my opinion, that he most likely did kill Gabby. Though, as I said earlier, I also speculate that it's possible that something else did happen. I was thinking about it last night when I was laying down trying to go to sleep, and I'm like, well, I mean, you know, he said she was back at their van working on their blog, and he was hiking along the Snake River, and he was gone for like 2 to 3 days. You've seen the van, it's like a cargo van, small cargo van, that they were using as a camper, essentially, for their trip. And I'm like, okay, so like my thoughts on it, they converted this into like a camper and put a bed in it, and I think a little cook stove and stuff like that. And I'm like, why did they do that to start with instead of just getting an actual camper? Actual campers have windows, curtains. I mean, I get they wanted privacy because they're, engaged and stuff. We used to go camping in a station wagon and just hang sheets over the windows, and no one's going to see in, you know. But yeah, I thought that was an odd vehicle to choose to use. And I'm like, if she was working on the blog and she was sitting in there with the AC running and everything, she could have got asphyxiated from fumes from sitting in the vehicle with it running. I don't know how hot or cool it was on August 25th through 27th-ish in Wyoming. Not near as hot as it is here in Oklahoma, I wouldn't think. But still, it's like she could have had the AC running. But when her body was found, the medical examiner did say, or the coroner did say, that it was clear that she had been killed. So she obviously didn't die from asphyxiation, but that was just, I was like, I mean, it could be possible that that's what happened, but obviously, per the coroner, that's not what happened. I am very interested to see what happened. A lot of people are like, why haven't they told the cause of death yet? They should tell the cause of death. No. They're not going to tell the cause of death. I know this. Unfortunately, there was a girl who I worked with several years ago. I believe it was around 2006, 2007. She was found murdered, and people were that way about her. Why are they not saying what happened? Why are they not saying how she was killed? Well, because if someone is killed in a certain specific way, and a party who is a person of interest, or perhaps not even a person of interest, goes to someone that they know and says, oh, did you hear about this person that was found killed? She had a cord around her neck 5 times. It's like, how did you know she had a cord around her neck 5 times? You know what I'm saying? So the specifics, like, I mean, I get they're not even releasing cause of death. Was she shot? Did she hit? Was it blunt force trauma? Did she drown? They're not telling anything along that line. But that is why they're not telling that at this time, is because the facts of exactly what happened can totally, completely lead to who did it, because that person will have that information, whereas the general public will not have that information. But that's pretty much all I wanted to say about the case, the 2 different cases. I really, they're going to find Brian Laundrie. He shouldn't even at this point be trying to hide. I don't know that Dog the Bounty Hunter is going to be the one that's going to find him. At least he is looking in a different area than where the family said that he went. I don't believe that he went where his parents are saying he went, because as even the Petito's attorney has said, they've not been cooperative with the FBI and the investigation. They didn't help with finding Gabby's body. Why are they going to help find their son, who is most likely going to go to prison for killing his fiancé, But I believe that he will be found by someone, and I believe that most likely he will be found, I'm not going to say by the end of this month, because this is the next last day of this month, but I believe that he will be found before the end of next month, whether he's dead or alive. I would not be able to live with myself if I had killed someone else, even if it was on accident. I would probably turn myself in, because I'd be too big of a coward to but anyway, it's hard to say what you would do, I guess. But I also hope that they do find the person who shot Kylen, Schulte, and Crystal Turner. They also, of course, deserve justice, as everyone who has been killed deserves justice. And I hope that they are able to find out whether there is, in fact, any real connection between the two cases. Of course, as I said earlier, could be that the same person did kill Gabby, that killed Kylen Schulte and Crystal Turner, and that person is not Brian Laundrie. We don't know for absolutely certain. Could be that the person that killed them had seen Gabby and Brian in Moab, Utah, or in the Sal Mountains near where the two ladies were found murdered, and thought maybe they had seen something and followed them there and killed Gabby. But then why would the person not kill Brian? Because possibly she was at their van and working on the blog, and he was hiking. I mean, it's going to be interesting to find out exactly what did really happen whenever all of this finally, when he gets found, and hopefully he chooses to tell the truth at the point that he gets found, or if he chooses to commit suicide while he's out there on the run or something. Hopefully he makes a video to let her family and his family and the public know what happened, or he writes out a heartfelt letter or something explaining exactly what did happen, so that the world will know, and especially her family will know. You know what I'm saying? But I think I already said that was all I wanted to say, but I am going to go ahead and sign off for right now. Feel free to subscribe, like my video, post any comments that you want, and I will respond to them as soon as I can. I'm watching my grandson. He has fallen asleep now. But replay the video. Let me know your thoughts. Subscribe. I already said that. I'm forgetting what I'm trying to say. I will do a video about The Masked Singer and about Alter Ego, probably Thursday or possibly Friday. I do regular videos. This is my Mystery Mondays video, which I'm doing on Wednesday because my week got so chaotic. But anyway, normally I do a Mystery Mondays video, which can just be one that I have, a video that I have previously recorded that I'm like, this is a good video, and I think that my people need to see it, my subscribers, my followers. And the idea behind the Mystery Mondays thing wasn't to talk about current unsolved cases or anything like that, though possibly from time to time to do stuff like that. It is that the mystery part of it is that you never know what you're going to get. You never know what the video is going to be about. It could be about my truck driver training. It could be about a movie that I like. It could be about something that's going on in my personal life. Still no car, still no income. Anyway, wish that would change. But anyway, so yeah, that was the idea behind the Mystery Mondays videos. And on Thursdays, I was going to start doing what I was going to call Thursday Thoughts. And I was thinking earlier I might call it Thursday Throwbacks and talk about songs from the past, movies, shows from the past that I enjoy, but I don't know what I'm going to do with that. But it's something that I was trying to do once the Masked Singer season is over, that I could still do videos on Thursday, but some of the time I don't do those videos till Friday, so I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go. I hope you enjoyed my video. Share it on your social media. Let your friends know about my channel. Try to encourage them to subscribe. And everyone, have a great whatever time of night or day it is in your part of the world. Stay safe and stay positive. And stay up on these cases, because you just never know when something's going to break. Like, it might have broke before I did my story this morning. Perhaps Brian Laundrie has been found, and I just don't know it yet. That would be nice, wouldn't it? We will find out soon enough. But yes.